Now, one thing you should know is that this class is being recorded, and you can check from your end that the class is being recorded. And therefore, I want to welcome you to this particular class. This is public relations, and we are more than 80 students. We are more than 80 students, and I don't want to wait any longer. I don't want to wait any longer for any student because at least we can start. The other will listen to the recording once it is ready. Now, in this particular class, ensure that you are seated where there is enough network. Make sure that you have enough network, and that is the Wi-Fi. You have enough Wi-Fi and very strong. Also ensure that you have bundles that can take you for a period of approximately 1 hour or more. Another thing is that whenever you are, ensure that you are seated in a place where there is no noise, a place that is calm, a place that is cool, a place that you are comfortable, and a place where you can take notes. Thirdly, when you talk about notes, ensure that you have a book with you, a pen with you, where you can take down notes because it is easier to understand what you have written than what has been written by another person. So whenever you take short notes, it means that you'll be able to understand what you have written. Another thing is that when you talk about class attendance, make sure that you, at the end of every lesson, I'll be giving a password for the attendance. At the end of every lesson, not at the beginning, at the end of every lesson, I'll be giving a class attendance code. That code you're supposed to do what to input it so that you can be able to have a permission to take your register as present or either absent. And then I'm going to give uh, very few minutes. I'll give you very few minutes mpaka class iishe. If the class ends and you have not taken your attendance, then that means that when I come back, I'll just pick you absent. So taking attendance is your responsibility. Reason being, you are so many, I cannot stay here and start taking an attendance for you. You are so many. You are approximately 80, and I project that you'll be even 100 plus. Again, make sure that you attend your classes very well so that at least you understand what you are learning. So don't run for the sake of passing the exam. That one, no. Run for the sake of understanding. Because at the end of the day, when you be employed, you'll be required to apply what you learned in school in your in your organization or in your office. So don't do it for the sake of passing the exam and for the sake of attending classes to please your parents or to please your guardians who have hosted you. No, just do it for the sake of what is ahead of you. What is ahead of you is your future, and so on and so forth. Now, my name is David Maina, and I will be taking you through this course unit. If you have any questions, if you go to the dashboard, you will see my contact, my email address, and you can do that. Now, I want now let me talk about that towards the end of the lesson. Now, without wasting much time, allow me to share my screen. Allow me to share my screen so that we can start our class. And before we proceed, something else that I want to announce is we have missed two classes already. So what I'm going to do, I will post hot note. I will post topic 2 note and I'll put a recording there for you to listen and for you to do the activities that will be there for topic 2. Now today I'll cover topic 1 because we are meeting for the first time. Topic 2, I'll make sure at the end of this lesson, I'll make sure that we have topic 2, we have a recording for topic 2, and we have activities for topic 2. That is a discussion forum, that is a quiz for topic 2. So in every class that we'll be having, we are going to have discussion forum. Maybe, for example, we'll be having what we call quizzes. We will be having wikis. We are going to have various activities. So at the end of this lesson, I'm going to post notes for topic 2 so that you read on yourself. After which, we will go to topic 3 next week so that at least we are at par. So then, therefore, allow me to start this particular class. And today we are looking at simply the introduction of public relations. We are looking at introduction to public relations. And every introduction, we have to know what we are learning. And when you talk about you want to know what you are learning, then we need to know the role of public relations in an organization. But before we go to the roles of public relations in an organization, we need to know what is public relations. And I'm going to look at some definitions here. One is by the Mexican statement. Actually, I'm going to look at three. One by the Mexican statement, one from the British Institute of PR, and another one from Frank Jeffkins. Frank Jeffkins. Frank Jeffkins. Now, let me go to the introduction, or maybe we can start from public relations and management discipline. So, therefore, we are saying that there is an increasing need for PR to be treated as an important management discipline, and one which, if allowed, to do so can play an important strategic role in managing organizational relationships with those external and internal stakeholder groups whose support may be crucial to the achievement of organizational goals. So one definition emphasizes strong managerial dimension of PR practice. That is the Mexican statement. I'm going to look at the Mexican statement. Remember, we need to know, or we must know, what public relations is all about. Now, when you talk about public relations, let me start by basics. Let me start by laying a foundation of what PR is. Public relations, number one, basically, we can say that public relations is like the eyes, the ears, and the ears, and the radar of the organization. That you, as a public relations practitioner, you are the ears of the organization, you are the eyes of the organization. In other words, you are directing the organization toward following the right direction. Remember, you are the eye, and the purpose of an eye is to see. So you see on behalf of the organization where the organization will be headed to in the next 1 year, in the next 1 week, in the next minute, in the next second, so that you can preempt any possible pitfall. Yani umeona mbele ya organization, umeona kile ambacho kiko mbele yao, and so you have to advise the management. So you are the ear, you are the eyes of the organization, you are the ears of the organization. You have to listen to what the public is saying about the organization, and if they are saying something negative about the organization, sit down with the management, do what we call counsel the management and advise them the best possible way of dealing with the situation. For example, maybe the public, they are talking ill about the product. Maybe you are a soap manufacturing industry, or you are a soap manufacturing company, and people are talking very bad about the kind of soap that you have given them. Maybe it's not good quality compared to other soap from other companies, and so you need to get that as a public relations practitioner. Listen to what the public are saying about the organization, about their product, about their services. Then, if they are saying something negative about your product, your organization's product, services, or any other thing concerning the organization, then sit down with the management, counsel them, tell them this is what the public is saying. Let us change this image. Let us change their perception. Let us change their attitude towards our products and services. So you are the eyes, you are the ears of the organization. Thirdly, you are the radar. if you have been to an airport or to an airstrip, there are those what we call them what we call them windsock. In an aircraft. There is what we call a radar, and a radar can tell the kind of weather or the way the situation is. Itakwambia situation ya upande fulani, ukienda upande huu, you are likely to do what? You are likely to crash down. If you go to this path, the weather is so conducive. If you follow this path, the weather is not so conducive, and so on and so forth. Sasa wewe unakaa kama hiyo rada. You manage, you advise the management. If you take this direction, as far as customer satisfaction is concerned, you are likely to fail. If you take this direction, you are likely to succeed. But if you take the third option, you will succeed successfully. In other words, you advise the management on which direction you should take. And therefore, that one leads us to what we call the definitions of public relations. Let us just look at the definitions of public relations. I hope you can see my screen. Let me ask one of you kama mnaweza kuona screen. Zimba Maureen, can you see my screen? Maureen Zimba. Can you see my screen? Or can we have somebody by Tua Mohammed? Tua Mohammed, can you see my?
Sir.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, what are we saying? Let us look at definitions of PR. Then we go. When you look at my notes, you can see definition of PR that have been offered. They include, now the definitions of PR, they are here. But I don't want us to look at those definitions. Let us go to, like, for example, let us start with the Mexican statement. Let me highlight the Mexican statement. Now, when we look at the Mexican statement reads like this, that public relations is an art, is an art and a social science. When you talk about something that is an art, it requires your capability or your way of doing it. You can craft something. An art is something that you do, and it doesn't have to follow a certain procedure. For example, if there is a strike in a company, you can think something that can distract that strike, or you can do what? You can come up with a way that you can cool down the members who want to strike. You don't have to use technology and something of the sort to stop a strike. So it is an art and a social science. A social science of number one, you are being told to analyze trends, predicting their consequences, counseling organization leaders, and implementing a planned program of action which will serve both the organization and the public interest. Let us go one by one. So it is an art, it is a social science of doing what? Of analyzing a trend. What is analyzing a trend? A trend is the current situation. So if you are a PR practitioner, then we are saying that PR is a social and is an art and a social science of analyzing a trend. You are analyzing a situation. Let us give a scenario. Suppose you are an organization, you manufacture coffee. You are in an organization that manufactures coffee. And now your coffee has gotten, before you release your coffee to the market, you sit down with the organization leaders, you tell them, let us brand this coffee. Let us call it maybe Macafe, or let us call it Dormant Coffee, or let us call it what we call, you can call it whatever name that you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you are analyzing the trend, the current trend, the current situation, the current way of doing things. So you analyze that thing, that situation before you launch your coffee. Then, after analyzing a trend, or maybe for example, you are a coffee manufacturing industry, and this coffee of yours, you have already released it to the market. And after releasing it to the market, there is what we call there is there is there is rumor that your coffee is not of quality, or the people are complaining about your coffee. Remember, we said that a PR practitioner is the eyes and the ears of the organization. He is also the who. He's also the radar of the organization. So there are rumors that your coffee is not of good quality. So what do you do as a PR practitioner? You need to analyze that trend. You need to analyze that situation. And then after analyzing the situation, predict the consequences. What are some of the consequences that might come with the rumors, the negative rumors that you are hearing about your coffee? Then after predicting those particular consequences, you sit down with the organization leadership. Sit down with the organizational leadership. Tell them that this is what is happening. Eh? The consequences are that if we don't work on our coffee, chances are this will happen or that will happen. So you cancel your organizational leaders. After canceling the organization leaders, then they will sit down and they will come up with planned program of action. They will tell you these are our ideas. This is how you're going to do things. This is how you will do it so that things, things don't move in a negative direction or something of the sort. So you cancel your organization leaders so that they can come up with an implementation, with a planned program of action that will serve uh, the interest of the organization and those of the public. Serve the interest of the organization and those of the public. Imagine, one thing that you must know that a public exists to satisfy customers' requirements profitably. An organization exists to satisfy customers' requirements profitably. So when you talk about implementing planned program of action, which will serve both the organization and the public interest, we are saying that an organization will get its profit or the market share, and at the same time, the customer will be satisfied by the product that you give them. So, in other words, that is simply what the definition of the Mexican statement says, that it is an art and a science of uh, analyzing trends, predicting their consequences, counseling organizational leaders, and then implementing a planned program of action that will serve both the organization and the public interest. It's as simple as that. You don't even have to cram that definition. With those examples, I don't think you have to do what? To cram the definition. It's just simple as that. Then we go to the second definition. This one is by Franz Jeskin and Daniel Yadi. And you're told that PR consists of all forms of planned communication, outward and inward, between an organization and public. Now, when you talk about public, I want you to get it right. Publics are not people. Publics are not people. I want you to get it right from today. Whenever we talk about public in PR, publics are groups of people that interact with an organization either directly or indirectly. I'm repeating that. When you talk about public, we are saying that these are groups of people of various classifications of people that interact with an organization either directly or indirectly. For example, Frank Jeffkins, I think it's in chapter 7 of the book of of Frank Jeffkins, he talks about the what we call the public, and he classified the public into various categories. He classified the public as number one, community, the media, we have the consumer, we have opinion leaders, we have trade unions, we have manufacturers, we have suppliers, we have the community, we have, there are so many groups that he has classified. All those are what we call public or public relations. So if you go to the library and look for a book by Frank Jeskin, you'll find that there is a topic, I think it is topic 7, talks about public of public relations. So publics of public relations are groups of people that interact with an organization either directly or indirectly. For example, talk about the media. The media will interact with an organization. For example, if you want to advertise your product with an organization, you need the media. In case of a crisis, for example, fire, or for example, what we call strike, the media will be the first one to land in your organization to collect information. Remember, bad news is good news to a media person or to a journalist. So that is definition by Frank Jeffkins and Daniel Yarding. Then we have the other definition is the British Institute of Public Relations. The British Institute of Public Relations. And the British Institute says this, that public relations is the planned and sustained effort. It is the planned and sustained effort of to establish and maintain goodwill and mutual understanding between an organization and public. So what are we saying? When we talk about public relations is the planned and sustained effort, we are saying this, that PR is a deliberate effort. It is done deliberately. PR is something that is done, it is planned, it is done deliberately. And the reason why PR is done deliberately is to enable or to sustain a relationship. Which relationship? The relationship between an organization and its public, and also to maintain goodwill. You know, goodwill. Goodwill is, in another word, is good name. Everyone wants to have a good name. Even in our constitution, the other day I was teaching some students and I told them there is something called defamation. And our constitution values the good name or the reputation. In fact, the constitution of Kenya says this, that a person's reputation is his property. And in fact, a very expensive property. So whenever somebody tarnishes your reputation, that's why you find them being taken to court for defamation. So that is it. So PR, according to British Institute of Public Relations, is a planned and sustained effort. So this deliberate effort has to be sustained. And this deliberate effort is to do what? Is to establish, to maintain, and to maintain goodwill and mutual understanding. Mutual understanding is an understanding between two people or two organizations. And when you talk about mutual understanding, is that the public understands you, the public understands what you do, you understand what they exist to do. Like, for example, all of us here, you understand what GTech University is all about. It's all about education, it's all about teaching. Sometimes you even understand the course that it offers. So, in other words, that is all about the definition. I'm not going to look at the analysis, but I think I've talked about the analysis. I've given the analysis, those who have been listening. Therefore, we move to something else and we look at the models of or the modes of public relations. When you talk about the modes of public relations, we are saying this, that each of these models, they describe a set of values and patterns of behavior or behavior that characterizes the approach taken by a PR department or individual. In other words, we are saying that PR can take a certain model or a certain mode to communicate. And these models, there are only four models or four modes. Number one is press agently or publicity. Press agently or publicity. When you talk about press agency or publicity, its function is to do what? It's for propaganda purposes. Propaganda simply means that it is information that is not true. Press agency. Like right now, we are in a period of campaign, and you're going to hear so many propaganda from politician A, politician B, politician C. You will hear so many propaganda, information that is not true, information that is one way. Sometimes when you ask about these propagandas, you even don't know who said them. So sometimes the media can use the model of publicity or propaganda. Like for example, when you say company A is the best company in in the whole of Africa, that is propaganda. So propaganda doesn't have to be negative. Sometimes even propaganda can be positive. Sometimes you might hear somebody saying Uhuru is running for presidency next. This coming election. That is propaganda. Information that is not true. And who spreads this propaganda? It is the media. This is the mode of communication or a model of what? A model of PR practice. And we also have, it has got little research in it. Propaganda has gone in research. The information that you get from propaganda, you keep on asking and asking and asking. In other words, propaganda is rumors that are not true, or maybe they are true. And these rumors mostly they are used by the media. So the media or PR can use propaganda way to pass information. The next way is what we call public information model. And when we talk about public information model, its purpose is to do what? To disseminate information. Like the way you communicate on a newspaper, a radio, a TV, or a newspaper, radio, TV, the internet. Those ones are public information models or modes. Its purpose is to disseminate information, like the purpose of a radio is to disseminate information. The purpose of a newspaper is to disseminate information. The purpose of what else? Those media that is to disseminate information. And number two, we are told that it's one-way communication, and truth is very important. Like when you write something on the media, on the newspaper, truth is very important. Don't mislead people. Tell them the truth. And then little research. There is little research whenever we talk about public information and readership and readability. There must be, it must be read. Readability is the ability to read a certain article. Readership is is people must be able to read. No, the readability is that whatever you have written must be able to be read. That is readability. Leadership is people are able to. It is there is leadership is people will be able to read that particular newspaper, and readability means you see. If I put it in Kiswahili, leadership is usomaji, yeah? Readability is usomekaji. Kile umeandika kinaweza kusomeka kweli? So readership is usomaji and readability is usomekaji. Kile umeandika kinaweza kusomeka. Like if you write something in Kikuyu language, not everybody will understand Kikuyu. That is readability. Readership is usomaji. Watu wanaweza soma. Yaani imekusudiwa kusomwa. Something of the sort. Then there is what we call the two-way asymmetric model. Two-way asymmetric model, its purpose is for scientific persuasion. Then there is what we call two-way communication imbalance effect. When you talk about two-way imbalance effect, is that, for example, during COVID-19, you are being given a lot of information concerning this disease. Remember, the purpose of two-way asymmetric model is for scientific persuasion. And you are told a lot of things concerning COVID-19. We were even told to avoid COVID-19, wash your hands. We were even told after washing your hands, make sure that you don't greet people. Make sure that you do what? When you are sneezing, wear a mask, something of the sort, and always sanitize. That is what we were told. So they were using the two-way asymmetric model. And in a two-way asymmetric model, there is two-way communication imbalance effect. that communication is coming from one person. Inatoka tu kwa Ministry of Health ama inatoka kwa Ministry of Health, mnaambiwa hivi na hivi na hivi. You don't have even time to question that. So nature of research is formative and attitude evaluation. Then there is what we call two-way symmetric model. And two-way symmetric model, its purpose is for mutual understanding. That the main reason as why we have two-way symmetric model is I want to understand you, and you will also, and you also must understand me. As VTech University, I want you to understand me. And you also, we want to understand your needs so that we can satisfy them. So in two-way symmetric method, two-way communication, there is two-way communication balance effect, that you can ask me a question, I can respond to your question. So there is that balance. There is that balance effect. Then there is what we call formative evaluation of understanding. Like I can ask you, have you understood my question? Or have you understood where I'm coming from? Something of the sort. So those are the time, those are the models that PR can use to communicate. So up to that point, is there any question? Up to that point, any question? So if there is no question, I think those press agency activities of PR. PR has so many activities. PR has got so many activities. Like it is an activity of PR for publicity. Publicity is letting information known to the public. Like VTech is in the public domain. University of Nairobi is in the public domain. So that is publicity. They have made themselves known to the public. They are even known internationally. They are even recognized internationally. Like when you live or you want to, when you put information in the public domain, you are letting the public know about it. So publicity is one of public relations activities. That if you want your company to be known, you can visit a PR what consultancy or a PR what agency, and then they will let you be known. Like this period of campaign, you are seeing that some people they want to do what to be in the public domain. They want to be known, so that when you are voting, you know actually what you are voting for. Then we also have advertising. Advertising is another activity of PR. Is another activity of PR, and in the corporate PR terms, advertising can be viewed as a strategy option for non-marketing purposes that is institutional and public service. For example, if you want your your products and services to be known to the public domain, sometimes we advertise them. Then we also have public affairs. Public affairs is another PR activity, and public affairs section in PR department, it concerns itself with corporate citizenship and public policy, such as those concerned with design or to build and maintain community relations and government relations. Like if you go to many organizations, government organizations, you will realize that we have public affairs office. The public affairs office is meant for the community. Kwa mfano, wewe ni mkazi wa mahali fulani, and you have realized that there is what we call vandalism, electricity vandalism. Every time you order for a new transformer is put at your place, unapata ya kwamba kuna wakora wanakujanga kuiba mafuta ya transformer ama hata wanaiba some components of the transformer. You can as well go to Kenya Power and Lighting Company, to the public affairs office, and report such cases. Especially if you know the thieves and you know where they come from and you know where they harbor or something of the sort. You can go to the company public affairs office and report such things. So in many government offices, you will find that we have public affairs office, and it is run by a public relations officer. Then there is what we call lobbying. Lobbying is another activity of PR, and lobbying is aimed at directing attention to potentially influential people in the society. For example, maybe you live in a community and you don't have water. So lobbying is done by lobby. There is a topic on lobbying that we are going to handle. Lobbying is done by lobby. Lobbies are people, influential people, activists. Eh? Wale ambao ni activists, influential people, and these lobbies, they are well connected to the who, to the government. They are well connected to highly influential people in the government, like MPs, like MCAs, like maybe lawyers, and so on and so forth. So they can push an agenda to these people so that when they go to parliament, they can discuss the situation in your community. For example, you don't have water, they can discuss that issue. And before you notice, before you notice or before you realize, boreholes zinaanza kuchimbwa mahali pale, maji inaanza kutoka kwa hiyo community. So these ones are called lobbies. So sometimes we use these lobbies to do what? We use them to push an agenda because they are well connected or they are well versed with lawyers, with MPs, with very influential people in the government, and so on and so forth. So lobbying is one of an activity of PR because who does the lobbying? It is the PR practitioners. These activities are PR practitioners. Then the next, we have issues management. Issue, if I can remember what an issue is a point of conflict between two people or between two or more people. An issue. An issue can be what? Like you have heard of fighting of the Marrakesh and the Pokot. What is the issue? The issue is grazing places. The issue is all about animals. The Marrakesh, they are stealing animals from the Pokot. The Pokot, they are stealing animals from the Marrakesh, and the process continues. So if an issue is not dealt with properly, it leads to what we call a conflict. As we speak right now, you find that now they are using their guns, they are using weapons to kill one another. That's a conflict. So if an issue is not dealt with properly, it leads to a conflict. So issue management is a PR practitioner activity. They make sure that they deal with issues. In Kiswahili we say, usipoziba ufa utajenga ukuta. So an issue ni ufa, ni crack tu ambayo imetokea kwa ukuta. So usipoziba hiyo crack, you will build the whole wall. That is how it is. PR, there is also what we call development. Development is another activity of PR. They deal with development. For example, if you need fundraising, maybe there is some people we need in our community. There are people who have done very well in their KCP or KCSE, and we want to take them to university. Eh? So you realize that NGOs come together, the community comes together, and they engage themselves in what? They engage themselves in fundraising and so on and so forth. So that is another thing. So we also have financial PR. Financial PR, for example, if you look at some paper, you'll find that a bank like Cooperative Bank, they have maybe they have listed their what? Their financial statement there. They have indicated that we have been in business for maybe 60 years. Eh? Why do they do that? That is financial PR. They're trying to attract investors through maybe publishing their financial statement or their yearly financial statement and so on and so forth. Then we also have sponsorship. Sponsorship is another activity of PR, and sponsorship simply is when we hear of sponsors, don't think of the other things that lazima ukuwe na sponsor, a man from US, a very rich person, etc. No, when you talk about sponsorship, we are talking about you can sponsor an event like football, you can sponsor maybe an exhibition, You can sponsor, for example, a talent, and so on and so forth. Now, those ones are activities of PR. So there is also what we call PR distinguished from other areas, like PR distinguished from advertising. Yeah, PR is not an advertising. It's not advertising. PR is not advertising at all, at whatever cost. Like, for example, advertising is aimed at getting, uh, like advertising, get its resources. I mean, organizations like media houses, they get their revenue from advertising. PR is not like that. PR its aim is to create a good relationship, to maintain mutual understanding between the organization and its public. That is the main reason. That is the main difference between advertising and PR. Another thing is PR is distinguished from marketing. When you talk about marketing, is the management process that is responsible for identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customers' requirements profitably. While PR is the art and science of analyzing trends, predicting their consequences, counseling organizational leadership, and coming up with planned program of action that will benefit both the organization and both the organization and the public. We also have sales promotion. When you talk about sales promotion is a demand stimulating activity. A sales promotion is a demand stimulating activity. Why do we do promotion? We do promotion so that people can know our product and can flock into the supermarket and retail shop and buy those products. So in other words, you're saying it's a demand stimulating activity. PR is not a demand stimulating activity. PR is a way of creating a what? A relationship, a good relationship, a mutual understanding, creating a relationship and a mutual understanding that we are saying that PR creates an awareness that as far as promotion is a demand stimulating activity, PR will create an awareness of those products and services and the organization itself to the public. Then you can distinguish PR from propaganda. We say that propaganda is a way of doing what? Gaining support for an opinion or a belief. You're trying to do what? To 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 give information that is not true to the public. No, PR is not like that. PR creates an awareness of the organization. Like in some organizations, we have PR department. The work of the PR department is to create an awareness of the products and services and and why the organization exists. What does the organization exist to do? But propaganda is to do what? Is to support, is to create information that is not true about an individual. Now, I want you to read on the types of images of a PR practitioner. Like we have mirror image, the current image, the wish image, the corporate image, and the multiple image. Those ones from me. Then from there, we can look at the quality and roles of a PR practitioner. Apart from a PR practitioner being the eyes and the ears of the organization, uh, we are told that they are regarded as oracles and they are expected to perform miracles. PR practitioners are regarded as an oracle. In case there is a problem in an organization, people run to the PR practitioner's office. No matter how great their intelligence, can never be expert in everything. So PR practitioner cannot be an expert in everything, but in many organizations, they are considered to be an oracle. So a PR officer needs to be very humble. You need to be a very humble person, very adaptable, and be able to accept that that you need to accept that a PR practitioner never stops learning. Every new uh, every new situation brings a what? A learning point. So anytime you're facing a situation, then there is a learning point. Number three, we can say that you must have the ability and willingness to find out things, find out things, find out about something, and so on and so forth. So, what are some of the attributes of a good PR practitioner? Number one, you need to have a good ability to get on with all kinds of people. This means you need to understand some people. Sometimes you need to tolerate them. If they are talking bad about you, tolerate them. Give them time to talk. Eh? And also desist from flattering them. Desist from flattering those people who are tolerating you. So you need to get on with all kinds of people. Number two, you need to have an ability to communicate. This means you should be fluent and eloquent in languages a company or company uses. If they're using English, be very eloquent in English. Be very fluent in English. Be very fluent in Swahili. Be very fluent in mother tongue, but all they are using mother tongue and so on and so forth. Then you need to have an ability to organize, and this one calls for patient planning. Ya kwamba ukipewa kazi, organize your kazi yako vizuri, that you can present that work very nicely. If it's a report, be able to write a very good report. Then you also have personal integrity in both professional and private life. When you talk about integrity, integrity simply means that in case of anything, whether good, whether it favors you or not, you stand by truth. Yani you stand by truth. Whether it is favoring you, whether it is not favoring you, you stand by truth. Whether it is favoring your office or whether it is not favoring your office, you stand by the truth. Then imagination, that is, you must be very creative. You must have a creative sense when, a creative sense of doing things. When you are doing things, do them in a creative manner. Don't just do them like that. Do them in a very creative way. Then you must have the ability to find out, that is, have ready access to information. Ready access to information. Ati ya kwamba ukipewa kitu ufanye, you find out. You just don't do it. Get to find out what are people saying. Go to the internet. Find out from Google. What does Google say? Go from one company to the other. Find out what is the reaction. Go to the journalists. What are they saying? Have an ability to find out information and to find out issues to do with whatever is at hand. Then ability to do research and evaluate results. Yeah, you must be a very good researcher and so on and so forth. So that is it. We have what we call the responsibility of a PR manager. That one you're going to read on your own, and the 4 folds of specialist of task of a PR manager. So I don't want to speak much about that. All these are actually summaries of what we have spoken today. All these are summaries of what we have spoken today. So if you look at that summary, you can see we have defined public relations, and we have also looked at the characteristics, the characteristics of the various conceptual models of PR practice. We have also looked at the the strategic public relations function. Those are the PR activities. And I have told you again to read on the images and also we have talked about you read on the responsibilities and the activities that happens in a PR department. When you go to the library to look for this book called Frank Jeffkins and Daniel Yardley PR book, there is the A to Z responsibilities of a PR manager. Yani A to Z responsibilities and activities of a PR office. So that is it. Unless there is a question, I'll stop that at that point so that we can move to something else. We can move to something else. Do you have the classes for media department? Do you have a PR, I mean not a PR practitioner, but do you have a classmate for media department? That is something that I want you to do for me right now. That is something that I want you to do. Media group, are they here? I don't even see them. I don't even see the media group. I only see the DHL. Kindly give me a minute. Let me find out why the media students are not in this class. So I want to talk to someone here. I don't know whether you are in Ashley Holly, or I want you to do this. I want someone to form a group, a WhatsApp group. Right now, my phone has gone off. I want someone to form a WhatsApp group and then share the link here for those who are here to join that WhatsApp group. I'll be using that group for communication every now and then. As we wait, mtu ajitolee sahi, aform WhatsApp group and then aturushe hapo ndani. You can invite me. You can invite me. And when you form a WhatsApp group, make sure that I am the admin there. Make sure that I'm the admin there. Because I'll be doing a lot of communication in that group. I'll be doing a lot of communication in that group. So can someone form a WhatsApp group right away and you share the link? Make sure that I'm an admin in that group. So sijui ni nani atatuformia hiyo group. Mtu ajitolee. Who will do that? If you will do that, kindly respond there. Useme mimi nitafanya hivyo. Because some people we may end up having so many groups. Who will form a WhatsApp group for us? My phone is off. I would have formed. I wanted to form it, but I think my charger is not working. Who is forming the WhatsApp group for us before we proceed to the next level? So Wangoi Wadeka has decided to form a WhatsApp group. Wangoi, we are waiting for that WhatsApp group. Once you form the WhatsApp group, kindly share the link. Kuna mtu ameshare link hapo anaitwa Okech Atieno. So Wangoi, don't form the group. Okech Atieno has formed the group. Okech Atieno has formed the group. Kindly let's join the group. Let's join that WhatsApp group because I'll be using that WhatsApp group to communicate. Let's join that particular WhatsApp group. So Okech Atieno, you are our group admin. Ensure that you make me a group admin in that particular group. That is where I'll be doing a lot of communication. So Okech Atieno form group. Let us join that group through the link that she has shared. And that will be good. Make me an admin. You have my number, Okech Atieno. My number is on the portal. On the portal, when you open the portal, when you open the portal, when you open the portal, this one that you have used to join this particular class, you will see my number there. So kindly add me to that particular group. Sawa sawa. Sasa tuko na WhatsApp group. That one is done. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'll give the activities of the day, and then I'll give the password for today's class, and then we are going to call it a day. So the activities of the days are these one. Make sure that you do those activities within the time frame that is between now and 2. Between now and 2. Make sure that you do those activities between now and 2. Failure to reach those activities will close down. So number one thing that I'm going to do, I've opened today's note. I've opened today's note. So notes za leo zimefunguliwa already. So you can see those notes, you can download them and read them for yourself. Number two, I have unleashed the forum. So there is a forum there which you are supposed to go through. Actually, the forum says this: discuss the advantages and disadvantages of internal PR department and external PR consultant firm. If you look at your note, there is a consultant firm there. There is something to do with consultants here. There are some notes on consultancy, and then you discuss, you put them in the discussion forum there. Then lastly, today's activity, we have quiz one. We have quiz one. There is quiz one there for you. There is quiz one there for you. Then what I have said again, I'm going to do what? To add topic 2 notes there. Topic 2. I will add topic 2 notes for you there. And then the activities for topic 2. Apart from that, the password for the attendance is this one. I'm sharing the WhatsApp group. Just give me a minute. I'm looking for the password of today's attendance register. So this is the password. I'm sharing it on the chat. So that is the password for today's class. That is HP02PQ. 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 They are in small letters. HP02PQ. That is the password for today's register. So you can tick your register. You have between now and 2 to do that. But then I'll come back and tick absent those who had not ticked their register. So make sure that you record your attendance. Then at 2, I'll come back and check. If you will not have ticked your register, then I'll tick you as absent. So if there is no question, I'll allow you to go and do the activities and see you when we see each other back. The recording will be put immediately. I'm going to put the recording before the day ends for this particular class. Any question? Is there any question? If there is no question, I stop at that.
Somebody has lifted their hand up. That is who? That is Onguka. Onguka, you have a question? It seems you are exploring Zoom.